Welcome to the Gun Channel's Open Lobby. Today is Friday, Flag Day. Today, main bullet points are Flag Day. What does the flag mean to you? And what's your favorite rifles? Feel free to jump in, talk about 2A, talk about firearms, talk about guns, talk about reloading, ammo, talk about whatever you want. We try and stay firearm and 2A focused, but this is an open lobby, so feel free to talk about what you want. Character, respect, discretion is advised. This is a PG-13 lobby. So again, this is a PG-13 lobby. We are a community over at Gun Channels. Today is Free Patch Friday over on Gun Channels. Feel free to go over to gearwebsites.com and get yourself a free patch with every order. Let's see here. Tonight, open lobby links are posted on the front page of Gun Channels and on the Gun Channels lobby room. Feel free to go over there and grab a long link, short link, all the links. And let's see here. So I'm going to run and get me some breakfast. So the links are out there. Feel free to hop in, talk amongst yourselves. Feel free to read a 2A news story. Feel free to spread some information. Feel free to talk about something you want to talk about. And again, this is over on gunchannels.com. Free to join, free to sign up. And don't forget Free Patch Friday.
Okay, can you hear me now? Where is everybody?
Hey, Rick.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Not bad.
Not bad, but not good. You doing
Hey,
good?
sometimes not bad is good.
Is good. Yeah. The glass is always half full, right?
That's right.
Or is it half empty? Is it half full or is it half empty? I don't know.
I like to think a glass is half full.
That's the way I like to think too. Try and always see the brighter side of things.
That's right. And so when I'm having a bad day, I got to. Sometimes I forget it, but there's always somebody worse off than me.
That's easy to forget, isn't it?
Yeah.
I forget that. That's a real thing that we might not always be aware of. There we go. Setting up my little fan stand here for my computer so it can run nice and cool, not overheat. And this thing, I think it's supposed to be close to 90 today. What kind of weather do you got there?
Oh, we're up in the 80s today. It's nice. It's beautiful out there.
Cool. So didn't you move from Connecticut? Was it Connecticut?
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island.
They're right next to each other.
So how are you liking it? You miss
Indiana?
Yeah. Do you miss Rhode Island?
No.
No.
No, not really. I mean, I miss some of my friends because I lived there. I lived there for nearly 20 years. But no, I like it. I like it out here because it's countrified.
I bet you sure like the gun laws a lot better, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I like the one where, because I mean, it's what we got. I don't agree with it, but I like, because I got a carry permit, I can carry open. That makes me feel happier because, as I said, I always carry concealed anyway. I normally have a baggy shirt over, but now if it comes uncovered or I raise my arms up and somebody can see, it's not against the law anymore.
Indiana's a pretty pro-gun all the way around, aren't they?
Oh yeah. But the strange thing is, we're pretty pro-gun from what I've seen so far. No waiting period. You got to do your 4473. Then you go walk right out with it, and everything else like that. What was I going to say? Oh hell, I forgot. No, but so far it seems very relaxed here. Everybody here. What's hard getting used to is the mindset. Up there in Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts, somebody seeing a firearm, it was, oh my God, he's got a gun attitude. Here, it's no big deal.
Don't you just love that, being able to walk out to your mailbox like wearing a gun, or just go to the store wearing a gun? And because you guys all have open carry there, right?
Nobody's freaking out about it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is nice.
A police officer just gives you a nod instead of like a stop and frisk and let me see your ID. I definitely appreciate that. Sometimes I probably take it too much for granted.
Oh yeah.
Freedoms and liberties that we have in some of our free states. What did he eat for breakfast this morning?
Well, this morning, be honest with you, I didn't have all I had this morning was I had 2 cups of tea. Then I jumped in the truck and had to go down to the Family Dollar pick up some cat litter. So when I say down the store, I mean we're talking. What's time now here? 12:30 here. So it was around 10:30. I didn't get up to around 9ish. You got to remember, I have no, I get up at 7. I wake up around 7, get up, feed the cats, and I go back to bed for a couple of more hours when I got nothing planned. So I get up, wash, dressed, jump in the truck, go down and do my shopping. So it's about, about 11ish. Well, people start eating lunch here at 10:30 because most of them are farmers and stuff like that. So time 10:30, their day is half over. So I stopped around 11 and had lunch. I had a hamburger and French fries.
From where?
And a large Dr. Pepper, $6.50-something, I think it was.
Where was that at?
Deb's Truck Stop in Birdseye, Indiana.
Oh, okay. I take it they must have good food there then, huh?
Oh yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it's an old country dive. I think when she finally says that's it, I'm retiring. She's an old girl. She's up in her. I say old. I ain't far behind her. She's up in her late 60s. I'm early 60s. So when she calls it a day, that's it because of the new codes today. If she was going to open, if this was a brand new place, she would have to do so much to get it up to standard to what what federal government says nowadays.
So now people might disagree with me on this, but my personal experience is, I don't mean filthy like cockroaches, but usually like the dirtier the type of restaurant, the better the food. And I don't mean like filthy, like disgusting dirty. I just mean like run down and just old and kind of decrepit, right?
Yeah.
And those are the restaurants that I get the best food in. I don't know why, but when I go to some place like super fancy and just perfectly clean and all new and updated, and like those are the places I rarely get what I feel like what I pay for. But I'll go to some dive, some hole in the wall dive that's just looks like it's run down and from like, like it hasn't had new paint on the walls in 50 years and just, but the food will be killer. And
yeah, that's what this place is like.
And those are my favorite places. Even like a lot of times, my family have kind of done a double take to me and like looked at me like we're eating here. And I'm like, oh yeah, wait till. So there's a place in Salt Lake called Navajo Hogan's that serves like Navajo food, right? Native American stuff, Navajo taco stuff, but more authentic Navajo food. And you walk into that place, anyone who's ever stopped in there or ever goes to there, they're gonna walk in and be like, oh my gosh, like what is this dive? What is this place? But you want to talk about some of the best dang food ever. It's it's absolutely great food. And but there's another Native American restaurant that's brand new, totally updated, just state of the art, and like their food's just it's just pretty so I don't know. I really think that's a thing. Same for Chinese restaurants. I've gone to some pretty new modern Chinese restaurants. Never really had like, I wouldn't say bad experiences, but they weren't like super good. Like, oh, this is so great. And these old little rundown Chinese restaurants, like, oh, that's where I get the best Chinese food. So I always try and look for those little hole in the wall type places because that just seems to be where I get like the best luck for getting actual like good food, like good tasting stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean today's Friday, so plus it's Father's Day weekend, so Deb's Truck Stop. There's they actually do a buffet bar on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, but today it's for lunch and dinner. It's either fried chicken or fish, plus sides and a salad bar, all for under $10. and you can go back and eat as much as you like.
Gosh, that's cheap. I like all you can eat places for the most part, not the more commercial ones, but
Yeah.
we have a little Chinese restaurant that's like an all you can eat buffet, and that's a good place. It's actually ran by a bunch of Vietnamese, and I mean, man, like they make better Chinese food than what I've had at Chinese food, like at Chinese restaurants with Chinese people. So I mean, the buffets are hit and miss. Like like we have a like Chuckorama, and gosh, what's the other big one? Um, I don't know. There's some other big place I've ate at. I don't know. I've just the buffets are really hit and miss. Pizza Hut has a buffet here. There's Pizza Hut restaurants with buffets in them that we can go get like all you can eat pizza and salad bar. And their salad bar is not bad, but the all you can eat pizzas, I don't know, usually pretty gross. It's like pizza that's been sitting out there for an hour under lamps and just I don't know. Sometimes they'll have something good like I don't know, some lasagna or something, but you want to catch that stuff as it's like coming out of the kitchen. I don't know. Like I don't like food that's been sitting out for an hour and I haven't been watching it for that hour, or I don't know how many times someone might have picked up that slice or what they, and set it back down or touched it with their hands. And I kind of like food that either there's no way that people can touch it because it's like, you're using like big ass spoons or something to dish it out. But pizza, like these people are reaching their hands and grabbing pizza and probably touching, and they're grabbing one side of the pizza, grabbing the other side of the pizza to rip off a slice, and that now they just left the slice with their left handprint all over it, right? And then you come and you're eating that and you don't know what their hands were in and if they washed their hands or whatnot, and just so I don't know. Buffets are really hit and miss for me.
Yeah, they are.
Tuesday night, 9 o'clock.
Talking about that, what made me think is, I tell you who I haven't seen in a long time, is the guy that used to host that with Night Strike.
Smeggy?
Yeah.
So he was actually on Daily Gun Show a couple weeks back.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and he still does his E2M, his Every Second Matters, on the second of every month. He still will put out maybe a 20 to an hour long video, a 20-minute to an hour long video, talking about Second Amendment, either laws or the Second Amendment fight, what we can be doing. He's been very consistent.
I got to subscribe to him then, get notified when he does that.
Yeah, and I think he's just been super busy with work and life, and
yeah, because I think he changed jobs or they promoted him and he moved, didn't he?
I'm not sure if he moved, but I know he always traveled around. So he was always traveling the whole country for his job, right?
Yeah.
And working in different states, and plus, social life changes. I'm not sure if he got married or engaged or a girlfriend or whatnot, but we've all been there, and that definitely takes up a lot more of your time, right?
Oh yeah, goddamn female screws everything up. It really does.
Yeah.
But we'll keep doing it.
Right. No, he's been really consistent on his E2M chats on the second of every month. He still does that, and like I said, he is on the Daily Gun Show. So I'm hoping that he has a slow time a year, or maybe things will change, calm down. He'll be able to come back, maybe start hosting with Night Strike again, because I do miss that. Him and Night Strike on hit or miss. He was a good opposite of Night Strike that could sometimes calm things down or point things back on target.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So he was a good what's that word I'm looking for? Like the opposite of someone where they bounce off of each other like that, like where they talk about like old TV shows, and gosh, there was a word for that. The way
yes,
that
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I can't think of the word myself either.
Yeah, but he was always really, really good at that. Those two were a good pair like that. And those are some of the shows I find most interesting, is where there'll be like two hosts and they're vastly different, and they're able to bounce stuff off each other in such a way that you're getting not only different points of views, but if one of them starts to go off the rails or off track, the other one can bring it back down, and vice versa. And so I enjoy chats like that, because those are the ones that tend not to get out of, off topic or out of hand, or or whatnot. They're sitting there basically moderating each other.
Yeah. Well, I got my computer up and running and got Windows installed on it.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I went digging through some of my boxes that I've never unpacked, and I found a couple of discs, that you can record on, that you can burn to,
Yeah.
that were big enough. And I burned down what I needed to, and I got it to work this time.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so it's up and running right now. I mean, since it's a brand new hard drive, it's basically it's loaded. It's very basic right now. Of course, Microsoft wants you to use their Microsoft Edge search engine, which I refuse. I like Chrome. I know Google's anti-gun, but that's a good search engine.
I'm not sure how anti-gun Google really is. We say Google's anti-gun, but is it just a couple? Is it just the CEO, or is it just a couple head people, or is it, like it is like, I don't know, like how anti-gun is Google? If we looked at all the actual employees that make up Google, because Google isn't just out of California, they have huge offices in Texas and all over the country and all over the world, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at it, if you start looking at Google as maybe just a conglomerate of a bunch of people that make up that business, like I don't know, how anti-gun are they really? Like,
Yeah, but if the CEO, who is the face of the company, the company gets tagged with that label, unfortunately.
So the last time I heard anything about specifically Google and not YouTube being anti-gun was like years and years and years ago. And I can't remember what that was about. I can't remember what.
No, they've also got. I mean, they're they've got. I'm not saying it's just against gun people, but they like their Google AdSense. For making money off advertisement and stuff. It's got their rules have got very strict, or who can and who can't run ads, how big you got to be able to do it, and all this kind of stuff.
So let's take Google search for instance, okay? So if I type in just the word guns on Google, right, and do a Google
Yeah.
search with just the word guns. So the there's three stories. The first thing that pops up is top stories. So two of the stories are pro gun. One of the stories is anti gun against toy guns. So those are the three stories that pop up for me right now under top stories. I scroll down a little more. It shows three firearm companies or gun shops that are close to my area. I scroll down a little more on when it starts actually showing the websites. So we have guns.com, Cabela's, Sportsman's Guide, Midway USA, Get Some Guns, the word gun in Wikipedia, Bud's Gun Shop. So, for me at least, just the word guns isn't pulling up a whole bunch of anti-gun rhetoric, right? That's guns are bad, guns kill, da da da. So let's try the word firearms. Firearms. Let's see. And these are just general Google searches. So no, let's see here. So the first, instead of the top stories popping up first, now it's just showing local gun shops close to me. Then I scroll down and I see top story. So what should be in the 21st Century Firearm Owners Protection Act? So that's a pro gun story from Amaland. Firearm distributor files for bankruptcy, says gun sales dropped when Trump became president. So I guess that's kind of I guess it's not anti-gun, but it's a sad gun story. And then two major gun control bills unveiled by congressional Democrats. So there's basically one pro gun story, one sad gun story about a business closing, and then one anti-gun story. And then if we scroll down to the actual websites, I'm seeing again Cabela's and Cheaper Than Dirt, and I see the word firearm for Wikipedia, Grab a Gun, Ammo Land, Academy, Sportsman's Outdoors. So I'm not like, so these simple, just based on nothing but simple search parameters, I would say like if I was anti-gun and I owned a company like Google, I would be trying to probably make a lot of these top websites anti-gun websites. Like, oh, so if someone searched for guns or firearms, like Moms Demand Action and Every Town and all that stuff would be probably some of the top searches. But so like I said, I'm not saying that they're pro-gun, but they might not be as anti-gun as some people think. Like they might not be 100% anti-gun because they're definitely making money off gun advertising, right? They're a business.
Yeah.
They in order to get into the top of these searches, I think some of these companies have to pay for that, right? To be listed up towards the top. Like I'm sure Cabela's keeps coming up at the top of these searches for me because they somehow they have to be paying money for that, right? And advertising on Google for that. Now, if I type in the word 2A though, or not, I guess not a word, but just 2A, a bunch of baseball stuff comes up. 2A softball, 2A baseball, and amendment offers dairy producers year-round H2A access. So a bunch of milk stuff comes up, and then we have 2A for Wikipedia, which is a conglomerate, like it's a mass amount of different 2A stuff. Like just all 2A means so many different things, I guess, and whether you're into satellites or highways or hashtag 2A on Twitter comes up. High school boys soccer 2A teams come up. The 2A hashtag on Instagram comes up. Beast Academy comes up. I'm not sure what that is. So under 2A, I'm not seeing anything anti-gun at all, but it's definitely not like a bunch of pro 2A Second Amendment stuff. But now let's type in Second Amendment. Let's see if a bunch of anti-gun stuff. So Second Amendment, the Bill of Rights, Constitution of the United States. We have the Second Amendment, legal dictionary, another just repeats of the Constitution over and over again based on various websites, Wikipedia, law.cornell, and so on. The top 3 videos, the Second Amendment explained, the Second Amendment video, CNN explains the Second Amendment, so that one's probably anti-gun. So 2 out of 3 there are pretty much pro-gun, or at least just sticking to the Second Amendment in general. A Second Amendment, Supreme Court interpretations from the Encyclopedia Britannica. Then we have the NRA appears in my search. The Guardian, the right to bear arms. What does the Second Amendment really mean? See more Constitution. The Second Amendment definition. So I'm not seeing like Every Town, Moms Demand Action, that kind of stuff in my search either for Second Amendment. So I'm just saying, like, if they were hardcore anti-gun and they didn't want these gun companies' monies, I don't think that I think that anti-gun websites like Bloomberg and stuff would be appearing in the top of all these searches I'm doing right now. That's maybe I'm wrong, but I would just
I just typed in what is Google's stand on firearms, and it goes. And another question is, can you advertise guns on Google? And it says here, since 2014, Google AdWords has also banned the sale of dangerous products or services, which include, you guessed it, firearms and ammunition.
Well, so that's where you go. So on Google at the top of the search bar, okay? Yeah. So instead of just doing a search where it's all, and you can narrow it down to news, images, videos, books, and more,
yeah,
you can go over to a shopping tab, right?
Yeah.
Under that shopping tab, all that stuff is banned. So it's not banned because in general, because gun stores are coming up in your search that sell guns, buds, guns, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But people can't be using Google to specifically be selling, like advertising, hey, here's this gun. But they can still advertise their gun store that sells guns, but they can't advertise a specific gun on that, when it comes to like the shopping thing. So like if I typed in, if I'm on the shopping tab on the shopping search bar, and I type in, let's say, Glock for sale, right? It's not going to list me any Glocks for sale, because that might be more of a liability thing than anything else. So Glock for sale. Let's see what pops up. Yeah, see, Glock for sale did not match any shopping results.
Yeah, I just typed in Glock parts and
Yeah.
it did not match anything.
But if you go back to the All tab, the first thing that comes up is the Glock website, and then Glock Perfection, and this Glock store, and that Glock.
Hell yeah, and GlockParts.com.
Yeah, so they're definitely still advertising on Google to be up in those higher searches, to be on that front page. I'm sure they're still giving money to Google for that. Google's not about turning down money. They're a business. They're in the business of making money. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying that they're pro-gun at all. I'm not saying that at all. They definitely have an anti-gun, I guess, persona, and but I wouldn't say that they're 100% against guns, because if they were, they could easily strip all these websites off of here. They could easily not even mention, Glock.com or GlockParts.com. Like they could easily bury that in the search engine, or not even list it at all. So I think if they were 100% anti-gun, I think that's what they would do, is they would either bury all those so far back in the searches that you couldn't find them, or that they would not even have them on there, period. At least that's what I'm probably totally wrong about that, but that's just what kind of makes sense to me. Like if I was anti-gun and I owned a search engine, and I didn't want people finding these guns and buying them, I would hide all these gun stores. I would hide all these websites on my search engine so you couldn't find them. Like, so it would, so the only things that were popping up would be guns are bad and guns are evil, and here's moms demand attention, and like that's I would just like to think, if I was anti-gun, that's the way I would be. Because if being totally pro-gun, if I owned Google, I would have you would have to search 100,000 pages back to get to moms demand attention. I would never let that shit appear in the search engine. I would bury that so deep that not even the FBI could find it. Like no one would be able to find that shit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to support it. Why would I want my search engine to support an anti-gun website where people can come and search and find these anti-gun websites? I'd bury them all.
Yeah. I think I would I would also put up, if I owned it right now, the first thing on the search line is Trump is anti-gun. Because that would get to him. He hates people not liking him. Really. He wants to be liked by the base, by the normal person like us. There's got to be a way to get his attention. There's got to be.
I think it's this. So he uses social media, right? He's the first president to really be doing that.
Yeah.
He'll be using the Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. So he definitely uses that. I think that, imagine like his campaign promises, or when he spoke in front of the NRA saying our 8-year assault has come to an end. Just imagine just repeating that back to him 1 million times. If just 1 million people, imagine if 10 million people did it. 10 million gun owners. There's 10 million gun owners just in California, let alone the whole damn country. So
I don't use Twitter or Instagram that much. I tell you what, I don't know if you've seen Jared's Guns and Gadgets video on Trump is the anti-gun president, and it shows clips of Trump saying all the stuff he said, like take the guns, do process later, and all this. You need to link that for Trump to see it.
Well, some of those comments can be taken pretty far out of context too, depending on what he's talking about. So,
No, I
Some
don't know if
people might hear that and be like, "Oh, he's coming after all of our guns," but I think on that one specific thing, I think he was talking about like either the red flag laws or like mentally ill people, right? Or people like that kid who did that Parkland school shooting.
yes, that was.
Like,
I mean, that's what brought it all on.
so all these people are see everyone's two-faced about this. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, the FBI's been to this kid's house 30 times and da da da," and this kid still shot up the school, and but legally they couldn't take the guns, right?
Yeah.
Or they would have, right? So
Well,
Trump,
they could have if they had acted.
they did act. They went to the kid's house like 30 times or whatever. They
Well,
had multiple emails, multiple calls telling the FBI that this kid's going to shoot up a school. Like people literally told the FBI that this kid is going to shoot up a school, right? Like people literally said that to the FBI. And everyone's like, we wish the FBI would have done their job. We wish they would have done something. Legally, their hands were tied. So Trump literally made a blanket statement that was like, oh, take the guns first, and then we'll find out the due process later. But he was referring to cases just like that Parkland shooting, where the FBI had been contacted. They had been warned multiple fucking times about this kid, and if they would have taken the guns, well, now a whole bunch of people would have been upset. Oh my God, they're taking people's guns, right? So people are real two-faced about that. They're either like, don't take my guns, or you need to go take these people's guns. So like, I don't. Which way do you want it? I mean, you can't have it both ways. I mean, so the same people I hear bitch about how the FBI didn't do anything about that kid and they didn't take his guns are the same people saying, "Oh my God, Trump wants to take your guns." So I don't know. Pick and choose. I don't think you can have it both ways. Like maybe you can. I don't know, but I think there's a lot of facing going on with that. That they want you to beat these same people. They're like, oh my God, they should have taken this kid's guns, and then those same people are like, oh my God, Trump said he's going to take guns.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, I hear you, and I understand where you're coming from, and I agree with you up to a point. The red flag law. If the way you said, take the guns because because they knew he was going to shoot. They knew he wanted to shoot in a school, so they went to him 30 times. They should have taken his guns because the law says you can't. Now there's got to be some way to get around that in that situation, but how? And with the red flag laws, all these states are doing now is instead of being specific, it's a blanket. It's a blanket red flag law they're doing now.
Oh yeah, and I'm not saying that the red flag laws are good or that I agree with them. So don't take it as that.
Yeah. I
I'm just
understand the principle behind them. Yeah, you don't want mentally ill people to have guns. I don't.
You don't want someone who threatens to go shoot up a school to keep their guns, right? So if you come out into the public or on social media, that guy literally posted on YouTube, right, under a video, I'm going to go shoot up a fucking school so I can be like that. So if someone posts that on your YouTube channel, do you want that guy's guns taken? So if you do your show, Rick, like Rick's Life as I See It, and you go down and you read one of the comments, and one of the comments on that is, I'm going to go shoot up a fucking school tomorrow. Now, do you want that guy to keep his guns, or do you want his guns to be taken right away just in case? Or do you want the FBI to investigate it for months and possibly have the shooting happen in the meantime?
There you go. That is the dilemma, isn't it?
That is a dilemma, right? So, so if you come at it from the one side of like, oh, I think he should take his guns right away, that's the without due process part, right? And so and then figure it out later. If you want the FBI to investigate it for weeks or months, well, the shooting could occur in the meantime. And if you don't do nothing at it at all, then you have people saying you should have done something. So like that's I mean it's I don't know if there is a winning thing to this. Other than I don't know. I don't know what should be done. I'm not an expert on any of this shit. I'm just
I mean,
saying that either way you look at it, there's bad things, and it can be used bad against all of us, or it can be misused.
yeah.
I
Well,
guess.
the one thing, I mean, I don't like the red flag laws. I understand them, but I don't like them. I mean, and I don't. I mean, this is controversial. I mean, they're going to happen. I mean, more and more states are doing it, and they're getting passed. So, if you're going to do that, there should be a provision in there, whether it's state or federal. Unfortunately, if my neighbor says, I think Rick's unstable, they go to the judge. The judge says, okay, go take his guns. Now, no judge is going to say, no, you can't, I don't think, because he doesn't want to be the one blamed if the shooting does happen. So he's going to tell you to go take the guns.
Well,
Now,
most judges, I
the
think, would
problem
want
is
some
you
sort
get
of
your day
evidence.
in court. You get your day in court, right, after the fact, of course, but it would be at my expense. I think the state or the federal government should be able to pay for my lawyer fees.
Well, I
Because
don't think that
my tax dollars paying for their lawyer.
Well, I don't think that it should be that case at all. I don't think that the red flags like that. I don't think someone should be able to anonymously report you, because that's when the misuse comes into play, right?
Yeah,
And it can be
yeah.
misused and it can be abused, and that's a dangerous, slippery slope. So I don't agree with that whatsoever. But if you went out, Rick, and you personally were going around and where they had proof of this, like on a platform like YouTube, just like that kid did, making statements, oh, I'm going to go perform some mass killing spree. If you were going around saying that, or if someone was, well, what do you really need necessarily the due process when someone's making that statement, a statement specific like that, and it's not hearsay coming from someone else, it's not, someone's word against yours. There's actual evidence and proof right there that you can see, like, this is the person who said this. This is what they said they're going to do. I mean, does that fall under freedom of speech? And like, oh, you can just go around telling people you're going to commit a mass murder, but we can't take your guns because that's freedom of speech, because you might change your mind or not do it, or you just might be talking out your ass, so to speak, right? So
Yeah,
that's a slippery slope too.
it
Do
is.
we say like, oh, this guy has First Amendment and Second Amendment rights, and he can just go around saying he's going to commit a mass murder, and we just stand by and just don't do anything until it happens?
Now, if you you said, go on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and said, I'm going to go shoot the president, the FBI and Secret Service would be at your door before you knew what hit you.
Well, they were at that kid's door right away when he went on YouTube and said he was going to commit a mass murder. He was going to do a school shooting. When he said that, the FBI went to his fucking door,
See,
literally,
then
like,
I think they should have taken him.
but well, their hands were tied. From my understanding, and I could be getting this wrong, from my understanding, since he hadn't actually committed a crime and he had First Amendment rights, and he didn't, I guess, give specifics about the school or whatnot, and he was like, "Oh, I was just trolling, right? I was just joking. I was trolling." Da da da. Their hands were tied after blanket statements like that and nondescript statements. Where I think that's, if there was going to be a red flag law, that's what it should be really used for, when there's actual evidence in place to say, hey, this guy could be a real danger. And where there's, coming from that guy's own mouth, so to speak, or his own writings or his own, videos, but not just some neighbor being able to call the police, or some ex-girlfriend that has a gripe against you being able to get, that's where it's going to be abused and misused. But man, like, imagine if the FBI would have been able to go to that kid and say, "Dude, you threatened to kill a fucking school. We're taking your fucking guns. Come fight for him later." I think I would have been okay with that. Honestly, I would have.
With a kid in Florida, there was a couple circumstances where they should have taken his guns because he had multiple assaults that he wasn't prosecuted for because of a stupid deal between the sheriff's office and the school district. And he made direct threats several times, and he even confessed that he wanted to do it. They should have been taken away in that case. They had proof that something was about to happen, and they had proof that he was already a violent offender. But he was never prosecuted for those assaults because the sheriff's department and the school district had a thing, so it made the school district look better. They didn't prosecute kids.
Well, and that's that whole
Yeah,
second chance program that the schools have now, right? To handle things internally instead of hand them over to the police, they discipline internally instead of getting the police involved, and that's a real
No,
common thing now.
yeah, well, he had gotten in assaults outside of the school, and still there was no prosecution because if they prosecute someone under the age of 18 at the time, it looks bad on the school district. The school district needs their numbers up, so they made a deal. It's called kickbacks.
What do you think about this, David? Just so you know, David, if you're talking, we cannot hear you.
He might have walked away. It is a strange, well, not strange, as we said. It's a tough. I mean, it's a tough call.
There's no one way to fix it. There's no easy way, I think, to fix it or what we want, or without getting to that point to where it can be used and misused and abused. That's where it's at right now with these red flag laws. They're so easy for someone to abuse. And then, like you said, Rick, you have to fight and all that for it. That's the slippery slope part. But the other side of that is like when there is blatant evidence like that kid, I mean, something should be done, right? There should be something. I would totally be okay with them of taking that kid's guns after making a threat like that on YouTube, let alone all the other stuff Russ mentioned.
Yeah. Now, Indiana here, because we were talking about this earlier about our gun rights, Indiana's had a red flag law since 2004. They call it after some policeman who got shot by somebody who should have, had mental issues. So, but what I'm saying is, it hasn't been abused in Indiana.
Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that?
Well, I haven't heard anything.
So now, how do they act? As like, can a girlfriend just call up and be like, "Oh, my boyfriend"?
I have to read the rules again. There's actually I found it on the internet. There's actually a PowerPoint presentation that you can watch. That you can download and watch.
You should send a link to
how it works here in Indiana.
You should send a link to that to earlywatchil@gmail.com.
And let me see if I can find it.
So is this Fascism Friday? I want like fascism and safety versus freedom and like the lack of fake safety. What are we talking about? You guys are suggesting that somebody says something on a platform and you want the FBI to be the terms of service, the TOS department for YouTube, to verify whether it's a hacked account, whether it's a kid trying to lash out at his parents, or somebody thinking something's funny, warped sense of humor, inappropriate. You want the FBI? You want a government large enough to have an FBI that challenges every time someone says something on YouTube? Or I don't care where you put the threshold, 100 times? You don't know weird people that say things provokingly, say things inappropriately? We have free speech. So I don't know if I want to live in a country. I'm almost positive I don't want to live in a country that has the resources to send enforcement personnel at a federal level to people who make a remark on the internet based off of other people's alert or other people's narc or...
Well, threats of violence is already against the law, right?
Guess what? People have been threatened violence since cavemen. I mean, this isn't a new thing. If people send letters to the president back in the day.
Well, the Supreme Court even ruled on that, though. The Supreme Court's ruled on threats of violence.
You want to live in a country where the government, the federal government, is large enough to decide when people are threatening each other in a conversation like this? I want a federal government that has nothing to do with our conversation, ever. So I think you have a false premise. You guys are talking about some kid as an example. So, I mean, 1 point isn't a trend. So I'm assuming you're picking a couple of examples where people did something so crazy and the FBI failed to find it, and then the person followed through. And it sounds like you're suggesting that you'd rather have the FBI have either more resources or more authority to make that decision. Does that mean a federally sworn federal agent needs to now be a therapist to understand stuff? I mean, more than they probably already have to be? Or do we bring therapists on board and they're like another level of federal law enforcement? But I don't understand where you guys are petitioning for a government that has, number one, the authority, number two, the obligation, and number three, I'm scared to think of a government with the ability, technical or personnel or financial. How much would that tax burden cost for a kid in high school to say something and for that to be okay? So again, one instance, if you guys can give me 10 instances in a country of 360,000 people, I think to give me 10 instances, you'd probably have to go at least a decade, if not 25 years worth of stats to even come up with 10 instances of an example where this would even apply. We talk about gun laws being massive overreach in order to what they think is going to achieve a level of security. I mean, I thought maybe you guys are doing a thought exercise or something here, but this is fascism. And if it's not fascism, it's like the scariest form of whatever the hell else it would be, because that would cost forever. YouTube can't figure out what we're doing. How can the federal government do it?
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. Is it? I mean, I was trying to put myself in the if I was that FBI agent, for argument, in Florida, and I saw the stuff he posted online. I know that the police have gone to his house umpteen times. What do you do? What is the answer?
You don't put that burden on a federal government. And you don't accept you don't accept the ambush that suggests, well, if you don't allow this to be handled by the federal government, you hate children, you don't care, you're callous, blah, blah, blah. Whatever personal attack on your character or your morals, which only you care about because the person who's attacking you on your morals don't have morals. So you're going to accept an attack and secede to their ambush situation here. Where does it say anywhere that the federal government is tasked with security of your children or state level schools or any level of what we're looking at here? There's the other way of looking at this that, hey, would you rather have government, the FBI that can stop this, or would you rather have death? I'd say I'd rather have somebody who gives me an honest options and not this exaggerated BS that's engineered as an ambush to make me choose when you're going to stop beating your wife kind of questions.
Yeah, couldn't have anything to do with that. I was just saying in this instance, this kid already had physical crimes against him. He had already assaulted people, and he was not prosecuted because of a deal they had. If they didn't have that deal and he would have been in a regular school district, his ass would have been arrested several times already because he already had physical assaults in and out of school on him, like one with a padlock. That's an arrestable offense. Your ass is going to jail for that stuff. He didn't because he was a minor.
So was there a failure in the system at some level, whether it was school, local, state, federal? Was there a failure at all on that with all the
money
warning signs?
It all had to do with money. The school district wanted more money. Their numbers had to look better, so they made a deal. That's all it had to do with. They didn't give a fuck about, prosecuting bad kids. If you've got a little psycho kid running around who is assaulting people, he needs to be taken out of that situation one way or another. If you leave him in there because your school may get more money, your school district may make more, get more funding because you have less crime in your area because you're not prosecuting any of the fucking kids, that's a problem.
I think the problem is the individuals need to find a solution to everything placed in front of them, and the inability for us to question those with an agenda who place this quote unquote decision in front of us as if we have a decision to make. And I believe this is done strategically and repetitively so that they can influence our society, so that we don't think about whose responsibility it is to worry about their kids and the safety and the obvious what's the word, like the infrequency is such a such a pale word to how often this actually happens. Try to find anything like that happens once or twice in a generation, and then try to suggest that, like, how are you going to manipulate the whole country to think that that's a regular occurrence? That's what we're dealing with. So I think the failure is on the individual to not question this garbage that we're being fed.
No, it's barely a statistic when you look at the.
It can't. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't even count as a statistic when it happens 10 times in 20 years, right?
Yeah, it's like a piece of sand on the beach. It's really something extremely small, and they blow it up to make it look really big. But it does.
Exactly.
It has shown some cracks in the system where the almighty dollar seems to be controlling a lot of this stuff, and especially with the automatic seizure laws. One thing are just completely, it's ridiculous. If someone hasn't physically committed a crime and you have proof they committed the crime, you can't be taking their shit. I mean, that is fascism.
Yeah, this is like, you never seen, like, I was just watching these videos of these people that dig the holes, make swimming pools and whatnot. This one guy started building a roof over it made out of just sticks of wood, sticks of like bamboo tied together to make a rough framework. And then he put down a bunch of palm fronds, or like, I don't know what to call them, palm fronds, right? Like the fuzzy part of the top of a palm tree, like a hula skirt or something, right? And you put enough of those things on a roof, and guess what? The rain doesn't come through. So what they're looking at is a thatched roof, or whatever that's called, a palm frond roof, a straw roof. And they're saying, well, that shouldn't work. That's just a bunch of straw up there. That shouldn't work. And then they're going in when it's not raining, and they're looking in at the, like, look, there's holes in here. Like, there's nothing solid between here. This isn't solid wood. We're used to solid wood. This roof can't work. This roof can't work. They're ignoring that it works, and it's worked forever, and that when there is an issue, you can replace it real easily. And then they're going to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait, and they find a drip, and that drip might as well be the waterfall at Niagara, because that's what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with a system that, if it was broken, are you kidding me? If it was broken, wouldn't we know it? Like, are you kidding? Are you telling me that was the only bad kid who fell through a big sloppy system with tolerances that are unreasonable? Like this, in this day and age, we shouldn't have tolerances like this. These federal agencies should overlap, and there should be a grid structure so that no criminal could ever think of passing through any kind of electronic barrier or, anything. Like, what the heck? And then, again, if this was seriously the case, you're telling me that's the only kid in the whole country, of 360 million people in every state, every high school, that's weird? And he's the only one that fell through these giant cracks? I suspect we got a roof that works fine. It's been working fine for generations. But some jerk decides that since it ain't plywood, it can't work. Doesn't like the idea that we're doing it without some sort of, intervention with a company or with a state or with his insight. So he's decided that he's going to wait for that fucking drip, and he's going to suggest that drip is a flaw in the system, and that anybody who's ever thought about a thatched roof is a fucking moron. And that's what they're doing. They're shifting that thing. There's a time when if someone would have suggested something like all schools in the entire country should be affected because of what happened once, even a horrible thing like this, but I told you to think twice because you're in the wrong country for that kind of shit. Maybe I'm wrong.
I agree.
I agree with you, G. Webbs. I mean, you make good points. You really do.
I don't know what Vanessa keeps saying. Is Trump still considered pro-gun? When was he ever considered pro-gun? We were, I think, as a gun community, we were skeptical and willing, and now we've been betrayed and angry. Or is that wrong words?
No, Trump was never pro-gun. He's been a Democrat he's been a New York, I don't know, left-leaning liberal Democrat for 60 years, and he only registered as Republican so he could run. That was it. Not that all Republicans are pro-gun, because I highly doubt if 70% are. I highly doubt if 50% are.
Well, this particular dude is all about the deal, right? And like you say, he's not affiliated, and just superficially. So if his overall goal is like fame forever, let's see. Should you build something you can see from space? It'll be a scar on the planet, literally, and will be around for generations because it'll cost more to remove it than it ever costs to shove it in there, especially if you can put the cost and the payments off to future generations who have to deal with it. And then you think that somebody with that motivation would give away rights to somebody who's desperate, a party that's desperate to gain those kind of things and can only do it through unscrupulous means?
You also have to remember they don't even think they're giving away any rights. They think that this has nothing to do with your Second Amendment rights.
Yeah, you can still hunt or whatever. You can still own a gun at home.
Because you can make him try to eat his own words, but his own words were he's no longer going to have government agencies come after law-abiding gun owners. If he changes the law, you're no longer a law-abiding gun owner, are you? So it doesn't matter to him. He changes the law, now you're a criminal if you don't obey to it. The way they choose their words is no matter what they do, they're always going to, see, this is what I said. See, you're not law-abiding gun owner anymore. So they don't care. As long as as far as they're concerned, as long as they let you have your double-barreled shotgun and your deer gun, you're fine. You got your Second Amendment.
Yeah, but talking about this kind of stuff, red flag laws and all that, did you see that the Attorney General has set up some committee to look into this into red flag laws? I mean, everybody's going, "Oh, look,
Like
Barr," but he's more anti-gun than Trump is.
You mean in a mode of like Trump says, because that's his boss. Trump says, "Hey, go make this or thing," or like go find out, do a fact-finding mission. Like, do you know, like what the task was?
I think it's fact-finding. But Barr is anti-Trump, bigger than Trump is. I mean, he's anti-gun, bigger than Trump.
Yeah, I don't trust Bill Barr as far as I could drop kick him.
No, I mean back because wasn't he who was he Attorney General for?
Clinton, right?
What?
Clinton, no.
I don't think it was Clinton. I think it was one of the Bushes.
Oh, it could have been.
I mean, he was anti-gun back then.
Republican, yeah, I said probably wasn't Clinton. Let's see.
I think it was a Bush.
Remember back in the day, like not liking that guy's face.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Well, what I'm afraid of, this fact-finding mission might, be twisted to.
So from 73 to 77, he was in the CIA. Then he was a law clerk to a U.S. Clerk of Appeals judge for a year. He served on the domestic policy staff at the Reagan White House in 82 to 83. And then he went for 9 years into private practice with a Washington law firm. At the beginning of the Bush Jr. HW, which one is that? The older Bush, 89. older Bush, at the beginning, his administration appointed Barr to the Attorney General or Assistant Attorney General. And then he was a big proponent of presidential power. He justified the invasion of Panama. He wrote legal justifications for the FBI to enter into foreign soil without the consent of the host government to apprehend fugitives we wanted. So that's always friendly. And he was the Deputy Attorney General. Then he was the U.S. Attorney General for 2 years. I guess he did something about some hostage crisis, and Bush liked him from that.
But I believe back in the day when he was somebody, whether it was deputy director or something, he believed in the he supported the assault weapons ban.
Oh yeah, he goes in 92. He writes a thing called "The Case for More Incarceration," and he argued for creating more prisons and abolishing paroles. Thinking his point of view is that incarceration reduces crime. So that's always smart. Let's see. Bunch of shit I never heard about. Cover-ups, Iran-Contra. Barr's pardon. Well, Barr told Bush to pardon Weinberger from the Iran-Contra thing. Then he was appointed by Georgia governor. Became the executive vice president and general counsel for GTE for 14 years. Directed a successful litigation campaign by the local telephone industry to achieve deregulation by scuttling a series of FCC rules. What the hell, those guys are all over the fucking place. And he was in the Starr investigation with Clinton. Then he got all mad about Trump trying to incarcerate Hillary. He said there's nothing inherently wrong with his calls for incarcerating Hillary, but more warranted than looking like Uranium One controversy was more warranted than the Russian elections. He says all this stuff about prosecuting Hillary wasn't appropriate. Was appropriate to say, but added these things that should be investigated that have not been investigated. I don't know. Just like the worst Wikipedia thing ever. At least somebody needs to do a summary of this guy, because his shit, he's hiding in like just probably 7 printed pages of fucking weird shit he's done. I don't like attorney generals. Everything I've heard about them, they're like the necessary, like they're like a filter. The presidents bring them in, they deal with a bunch of shit, then they get filthy, and they get rid of them. They bring another one in.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they're like allies that take a bunch of the burden and accusations and shit, and then run off. So anybody that even wants that job seems like a real scumbag.
Yeah, I mean that's like the president and the bumstock. He told the Justice Department, which is the Attorney General, to make it happen, and it did. They changed the regulation, reworded it to make it fit. I don't see how that's legal, but they got away with it. I haven't heard anything more in the news about silencers either.
Do we even know if this guy actually used one, or do you have something that looked like one?
From what I understand, they're not saying anything about that particular incident because it doesn't fit the narrative or whatever for the, they're all like enough key points to push their stuff. I think they're done with the win because, is their goal to change us, or is their goal to screw with us and keep us just not effective? So if their goal is to keep us in a constant state of turbulence so that we can't settle and be a layer of oil and a layer of water and a layer of detergent so that, we figure out what our strengths are, we unite, and we can wail on them with, deliberate attacks of freaking oil and then water and detergent or whatever. I'm thinking of something separating in a bucket or something. All they got to do is stick in there every once in a while and stir us up, and we're worthless. We're like just a bunch of mess in that bucket, and they know it. And that, the bucket has mass, it has weight. They can use that for different things. They can pick up that stick when it's all wet, and they can go, ha, I'm the freaking anti-gun, and they can't deal with it. And we're effective at screwing with them. And in the bigger picture, they know what we could be because they remember 94. And whenever they go to their politician prison, not politician prisons, politician schools, same thing, they learn about what happened in 94. And when you embolden a constituency by being completely tyrannical, they have consequences in this system, at least. And they haven't been able to change our system yet. So, what I'm saying? They're manipulating this shit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the latest one now, I think Guns and Gadgets done a video on it the other day, but I read about it, and so did, what's his name? Rupan from Massachusetts, the anti-gun group up there. They wrote a letter, put it in the Boston Globe newspaper, saying that there was a connection between the Virginia Beach shooting and the last and assault weapons, i.e. the AR-15.
Well, there is.
And the connection is a semi-automatic mechanism.
Mm-hmm. You want to deny that. You want to hide that fact, but it's true.
Yeah, both of them were fully semi-automatic.
They both had the semi-automatic mechanism, which
That's
empowered
right.
them.
The problem is, if one of these big politicians, there's 20-odd Democrats that are trying to get the nomination to run for president. If one of them picks this up and it goes nationwide, as you said, it keeps us in turmoil even more.
Yeah, and isn't it convenient that they keep picking up shit like, fully automatic defibrillator or distribution nubulate? They just keep making up these fucking words that we spin off on. Like I say, I think that they're figuring out that we get distracted, or that we feel like we've achieved something when we call them out for being idiots. So again, they don't have anything to lose. They don't care if they're right, and they know that we're gonna be distracted when they say something intentionally wrong. So I bet you they're just trolling and figuring out what words are gonna work good next. And the same way somebody comes up with the next Pepsi commercial, they're coming up with the next semi-automatic mechanism.
Yeah, you're right, but you're absolutely right. But just because I want to be an ass, the pro-gun movement is the one who changed the name from silencer to compressor, not compressor to suppressor. That was the pro-gun movement. They wanted to get away from the word silencer.
Sure. We wanted to be more accurate and get away from that perception that it does something that it doesn't.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, we definitely, and that was a success too, right? I think, and I think magazine and clip is a success. There's still a couple of people that would suggest that's inconsequential and it doesn't matter. But when we're talking about something that does matter, like a right that's protected by us by one of our amendments, then I think it's important to give it respect. And by being correct like that, just shows that we have a resolve and that we have a intellect behind this that isn't just based on emotion, and it isn't robotic as much as it is just ultimate awareness. And that shows a resolve, I think, through if it's Yankee doing it or if it's somebody else on the other extreme, or pick somebody in between or on another extreme, right? As long as we've got certain things, we have muzzle discipline, we keep our fingers off of triggers, we have a respect that transcends all those different voices and flavors. That resolves, because there's nothing on the other side that runs through it all except for greed, hatred, jealousy, and fucking cowardice.
Well, they use these phrases not to frustrate us, but to trick those that are uninformed. I mean, like, for instance, my mother, several years ago when I forget what shooting happened, but where an AR was used, she said, they're using machine guns. I said, well, that's not a machine gun. Oh no, they said it's a powerful machine gun, like the military uses. I said, no. And I went and showed her one. I said, see, it's this. I said, this is less powerful than your gun. She has a M1 Garand. I said, this is a hell of a lot less powerful than your M1. And I said, it's not a machine gun. They're using that to trick people who she was a gun person, but even somebody kind of in the know could have sworn they used a super powerful machine gun, didn't realize it was just a semi-automatic, small caliber rifle.
No, that's a good point, and I don't disagree. They're definitely not stupid. They go to school for a long time to learn words and how words affect our brains, and then they go to school to watch culture, and they literally help. They're on the one end of adjusting culture, and Hollywood's on the other end of adjusting culture, so they're part of that. So yeah, they've got an ultimate awareness of how words work. I don't disagree with you at all. They're using those words intentionally as hell to do exactly what you just said there. Because like you say, it works perfectly, even for someone who feels like they're aware, or at least, like understand. Yeah, they're using words that don't talk down, but then have just enough authority. And again, they don't give a crap what happens on our side or what we do about it, because yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually had people that, new people from work where we take them out shooting. One of our shooting things is, I can't believe you guys can have machine guns. Like, they're not machine guns. Now, I have had one legally owned, but yeah, that was a pain in the ass to get, and it was really expensive. But for some reason, they think you can just walk into a gun shop and walk out with a machine gun, because that's what the media told you can do. And I've actually taken one person who could have sworn you could just walk in and buy any gun you wanted to at a gun show. I actually took them to a gun show, and they bought a gun, and they had to fill out the form and do everything else. And now they know the media is lying to them. You can't just walk in and buy it, and walk back out.
It makes me think of the old TCC shows, going in on a super hot weekend, walking through that horribly hot parking lot, and then it was decently cool down there. It wasn't air conditioned necessarily, but those were some fun shows. I really like those shows.
Oh yeah. Now, not saying that person to person you can't do that in a parking lot, but I remember that. But 90% of the people at the show are dealers.
Oh yeah.
The other guys are there with their personal guns, but they're mainly just there to talk about guns. They don't really want to sell their crap.
Well, I imagine somewhere, like if you look back, I've been trying to put all these pieces together, because at least I haven't found like somebody else who's done it to spell it all out. But like, there's the first time they used assault rifle, or weapon, and then, there's different attacks that they've had and stuff. and somewhere is the beginning of the gun show loophole, like it, whatever scare tactic or whatever they're trying to do with that. And I'm interested to dig that one up because.
Oh, I know where that one was from. I remember hearing that for the first time.
Oh, where does that come from then?
That came from the one in Colorado, the real big famous first one. Because
you mean the kids?
What's that?
The kids in '94.
Yeah, because a girl bought the shotgun and I believe the Tech 9 from a gun show and gave them to him. But she was legal to buy the gun, but they used that as the gun show loophole. That was the first time I heard that.
Okay, so that, of course, the facts have nothing to do with what they're going to do and run with, right? But okay, so then whenever somebody decided to do that one, right? I guess then, right? Let me see what the Wikipedia says. I'm just trying to figure out what year that was. That was '94. Let's see. Since the mid-'90s, gun control advocates have campaigned for universal background checks. Advocates for rights have stated that there is no loophole. The current laws provide a single uniform set of rules for commercial gun sellers, regardless of the place they sell. Okay, who gives a shit? Why don't you tell us where this came from? So let's just say it was set '94. What I'm wondering is, okay, so it was something, and if it was that, then it was the news, right? That created some reporter, some guy writing, some girl writing to like come up with a catchy headline or some angle on this that'll get them to read their article, right? So that writer had to sit down, and I'm wondering if that writer's process was to discover that gun shops can only do business in their location. They're not like well, I guess they're maybe like a restaurant. A restaurant just can't go anywhere and start selling food necessarily. At least not in every state. But like you're selling T-shirts, there's hardly any rule about where you can sell your T-shirts. You can just go out in the parking lot and sell your T-shirts. You can go to some event, sell your T-shirts, as long as you're not breaking some kind of like permitting rule or something. Like there's no law against where you sell your T-shirts. If you're selling cars, I don't think there's any rule against taking your cars to somebody else's parking lot and selling them, or bring them to a parade and trying to sell them in the parade. Like you can do whatever you want with pretty much any industry. Except for guns. You can only sell your guns in your gun shop. You can't walk out in the parking lot and sell your guns. Maybe you can do that, but you definitely can't just go across the street to your friend's barbecue shop and have a bunch of guns for sale. You can put them there for sale, but you can't do any transactions there, right? You always have to go back to your gun shop, do your 4473s in the location. That's part of the requirements of the licensing. And the exception to that is at a gun show. And there's no law about gun shows other than a bunch of licensed dealers are there selling guns. And I don't even know if the licensed dealer part's there, really. As long as a bunch of people are together selling guns, it's a gun show. That informal definition, is all that is necessary to allow an FFL to sell there. So pretty much any bunch of people getting together to sell guns qualified as a gun show. Now an FFL can do business there. Now, because of that, there's a whole bunch of FFLs that do business out of their homes and only go through gun shows. Right. And I'm wondering if the who came up with gun show loophole was aware of that and actually, deliberately, I guess, trying to attack, or at least was aware that their attack was going to affect those individuals, because that's really the ones who suffer from the gun show loophole concept. Universal background checks is a big thing, but that's an obvious rebuttal to the gun show loophole fallacy. But the shops that just show up for gun shows, like they can't do business. A lot of times they're not even licensed to do business in their town out of their houses. They might be able to have a business, but they can't just open a door and have people pulling up and parking in the neighborhood to go into their garage or whatever. You can do business in a garage, but you can't necessarily. You don't always get a whatever that's called, like a public access type of permit like you would at a industrial or commercial area. So I'm wondering.
But you also remember right about that time is when the licensing for your FFL, when they changed the the zoning laws, and it's also when they changed the amount of the license. Because back in the day, 1 and 2s were what, $150, something like that, and now they're well over 1,000. They changed that to try to keep the tabletop
the garage
FCC guys out of there. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know about that. See, I want to start having more people. I want to start doing interviews with gun shop owners and get into that stuff. Maybe some manufacturers, like Slash K, like they'd be interesting to talk to their like evolution as a company throughout all the years, right? Like they've seen a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah. Slash K would be pretty interesting. Well, the guys over at what the heck is the one tactical place over there? Because they're going through getting their. I think they just got it, but they did all their applications and everything to get their Class 3 and all their rezoning bullshit and all their security stuff they had to put in and everything else, so they could start selling suppressors and stuff there. They would be kind of an interesting place to.
Who in Tucson?
Yeah. What's the hell's AG? What? Oh, damn it. Can't remember their name.
Where?
They're over there by the airport. Palo Verde and District. Yeah, they're on District.
Palo Verde and District.
Yeah, tactical place. Oh man. Their license has a different name on it, but their new name is AG Tactical or something like that. What the hell's the name of that place?
Palo Verde and what?
It's District and Palo Verde Country Club area. ASG Tactical, isn't that it? Or SG
I haven't been around in a while. I haven't been buying anything, so I haven't been looking at gun shops in a while.
Yeah, I believe their license is, I think their license is under Smoking Pole or something like that, and they changed their name to ASG Tactical or something like that.
I also don't hardly drive around anymore, so I got to remember where the hell Palo Verde is.
Yeah, but it's just north of Country Club, south of Palo Verde, on District, and they just got the new building. They got all new security put in. They applied for so they could sell Class 3 weapons. They have a gunsmith on site now. They do Cerakoting, but it used to be a little dinky TV shop. Like literally, you would stand nose to nose to the dude behind the counter. Now they got a decent little size shop now. It's also the cheapest transfers in town, too.
You don't mean that goopy one that's street aviation.
No, not the goofy one that was off aviation. This is SG Tactical, I believe is the name of it. SG.
Oh, SNG?
Yeah, there you go, SNG.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I've been there a couple of times.
Yeah, their name is not on their that's not the name on their license though.
Oh, I
so because I checked it out and it's something else, but it's still all legit. They just changed the name.
Oh yeah, they've been around for a while. They were a gun shop or a gun show type of shop, and then what were they? They were like on Lincoln or something first, and then they moved on.
But they're going through all the licensing shit right now, so they would probably be pretty interesting to interview because they've been doing it for over a year. So.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll be back later, guys.
Take it easy, Rick.
Yeah, because I went in there because they had an ad. They needed a part for a M1 carbine that was I don't remember which one it was, but it was it didn't match the standard and they were looking for it. The gunsmith needed it, and he couldn't find one. I found one, and I brought it in there, and was talking to them, and they were having some issues because they had to put in more security cameras and everything. They had the week before that, they had a guy walk out of the store with a Glock that was on camera, and so they're kind of redoing their showroom and everything to try to prevent that from happening again. And yeah, they've had some growing pains.
You got any experience with them little R2D2 looking air conditioners that are inside? You have a hose running out of them? Anyone?
Sorry, my Bluetooth cut out. I couldn't hear anything.
You ever have any experience with those little R2D2 looking air conditioners with a hose running out of them?
Oh yeah, they work good.
Thinking about getting one so I can feel.
Yeah, probably work good in your circumstances. You have bars over your windows that work. They work good.
No, I got the stupid, what do you call it? Windows that are like a foot wide or less, and then like 7 foot tall. Like stupid.
Oh,
they're good for shooting bow and arrows out of. About it.
Yeah, as long as you can open them up about six by 6, you're fine. It'll work.
Make them through that piece of wood to fill in the gap and foam it in, and then hoops out the hot air, I guess.
Yeah, I've got one in my garage.
I'm gonna look at I'm looking at the ones that are under $300, of course. So, do you have any opinions, recommendations, experiences with littler ones versus the bigger ones?
Yeah, I bought one I have in my garage is like I think it's like $290 at Walmart. I bought it at a pawn shop for $150. Works great.
Maybe I should call around pawn shops, but I don't know. I guess I could technically work on it if it was fucked, but I got a Home Depot credit card. So I'm thinking about finding one at Home Depot and putting it on that credit card.
Yeah, well, the ones at Home Depot, I don't know. I've had to return. I have a couple mobile coolers too, and they go out. Seems like every 2 months, and I have to return them. But I get a new one every 2 months. So
I've been using a mobile cooler for like 2 years. It's just, it's shitty. Ain't good.
Yeah, it's crappy.
Just makes it humidish in here.
Well, you have to get the fresh air into it and the hot air out. That's the problem.
Oh, okay, and then here's the big question. How much of electric bill does that add, running one? Especially in like a garage, you don't got good insulation in there or nothing?
Yeah, it's not cheap to run, I can tell you that.
It's going to buy, and then I'm thinking if it adds like $200 to the electric bill every month, I'm not looking forward to something like that either. I'm not even flush yet.
Well, you're probably not going to add 200 if you're using it in a single room, but definitely get one that has the smart temperature sensing, so it shuts off when it doesn't need to be on. Set it at like 76, 78, something that's reasonably comfortable that you're not sweating your nuts off on, and it'll shut itself off.
I'll be happy if it just knocks the edge off outside. I'm used to it being like 97 inside of my place. If it makes it 80, I'm happy.
Yeah, I think the highest mine goes, because I have one in my shop too, so that in my reloading area to keep the powder down below 100 degrees. And it's set at 86, and so it's nice in there all the time, you know. But I think that's the highest they go is 86 degrees. I think that's where mine maxes out.
That's what I'm thinking. Get the smallest one, leave it at the ultimately highest setting so that it only barely kicks on. I just want to kick the edge off. I don't need it to be cool in here. I don't want to be wearing a fucking hoodie or nothing.
Yeah, that's all you need in one room. If you keep the door shut, you'll be fine. It'll probably run for a few minutes in midday, and then it's going to run kind of hard between 2 and 4, but it shouldn't add a whole lot to your electric bill. If you look at them, it should give you the wattage of them. The only thing you're adding is another fan, which you'll probably be able to turn one of your fans off, and a compressor. So it's not that bad.
And it's true.
And now I'm in downtown Phoenix on freaking Jackson Street and 16th. It's an armpit.
You're right by the only Long John Silver's now. So Echo saying in a 10 by 14 room, it was $135. I'm assuming I was trying to get it comfortable. If I don't even try to get it comfortable, it's probably going to be about the same because this room's way bigger.
Yeah, you also have to remember sometimes going smaller is not cheaper because it may have to run longer. So
right,
good middle of the road, towards the top, towards the topper end of your budget. Go for that one. You know. So basically, the most BTUs for the buck. You know. I've also found with some of those, they claim a higher BTU rate because they have a faster or a higher flow fan, which is kind of nice, but they don't get the air as cool. So, like Home Depot is a good place to go because they normally have them floor unit out there, and you can just kind of test them out. Some of them have really crappy fans in them, but they get ice cold, and others have really good fans, and they don't get very cold. So,
what happened to Naughton's? They're gone, huh?
what happened to what?
Naughton's.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
There's stores there, but they're different now. I don't know. They weren't never ever cheap, really. But like you're saying, being able to go out and just have them running on the floor, they would have them running on the floor like that. But the expensive ones are like $600, or like the bigger ones are like $600.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't go that high, but in the say the sub $300 market, try to find one that has the best BTUs, you know, and generally the Home Depots in the nicer neighborhoods have them out, and you can roll them over and plug them in and try them out real quick to see how well it blows and all that.
I was trying to get it to 78, and it was pushing 95. Yeah, so we don't have the humidity, but I don't think the unit will care as far as the humidity. It just won't draw as much water. But if I can get it to 95, I mean, that would be better than 114 outside. That's probably more realistic than, I don't think I'll ever get it to 70. My house isn't that well insulated or anything.
Oh, you'll easily get it to 95. I have a little. The one in my shop is I don't know, maybe 900 BTUs or something like that, and it's a 8 by 20 room, and it keeps it at 86 in there and kicks on, I don't know, once an hour for a few minutes.
I like the idea of like just taking a day, like a Wednesday or something, and drive around and look at some of the pawn shops and stuff and check out the guns and see some of the gun shops and things. Just spend a day driving around looking at stuff and then try to come home with one. But I don't have the extra 150 plus. You know, I could, like I said, I'm planning on doing this on the credit card, so I don't think I'm going to get that. Plus, I don't know, having a used one, somebody got rid of it for a reason, you know. If I knew somebody that had one and was like, oh, you know, this one, we don't use it anymore or whatever, we're moving, you know, that kind of thing, where you know the history of it. But, you know, if that came out of some place where a cat died next to it or some gross shit, I think that's why they got rid of it. That's what I'd be scared of, I guess, at a pawn shop. Maybe at like Habitat, if they, I don't know if they stick around at a place like Habitat, but usually people aren't passing trash to like a Habitat.
Yeah, that normally at Habitat they're gone stupid fast. They're sold as soon as they hit the floor.
They're probably like $25 too. Wouldn't be surprised if there's a waiting list. I don't know if you can get a waiting list over there, though. I don't think they do that.
No, but you can call and ask them to put stuff to the side if you're going to be there that day. I've done that.
Yeah, I've done that before. Although it's Habitat, not like customer service center, so actually there's not a lot of guarantee there either.
And one thing you can do is have your mobile cooler running in the morning until about noon, shut it off, then turn the AC on, because the extra moisture in the room will make the AC colder and work better.
Wait, do what now?
If you run your mobile cooler in the morning until about noon, until it starts feeling where it's going to start getting hot, then turn on your air conditioner, turn off the mobile cooler. The extra humidity in the air will make the AC work better.
Oh, okay.
Because air conditioners work like shit when it's dry out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like the central air in the house, it has to run damn near constantly when it's dry out. But if it starts to rain, it gets icy cold in there fast. When it starts condensing water, it starts producing some cold air.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Because this one's sitting here, it's kind of, I got it set up so it's, what I normally do. And it'll run all the way through probably easily June. I'm not even using it yet. It hasn't really been hot yet, though. Is this normal, or am I just wrong, or does it seem like it's gone later in the year before we got 100?
Yeah, it's much cooler than it should be.
Good. So, I'll take this while we got it. Hopefully it doesn't mean it'll be fucking horrible in October or something. Al Gore, he's always...
They said it's supposed to be the coolest summer on record since 1980 something, 86.
Oh, well then shit, I'm not buying no air conditioner. That sold it right there. You didn't have to tell me that. Damn, now I'm definitely not buying an air conditioner.
Yeah, but cool for us is 103 every day.
Yeah, I'll take 103. Last year was just ruthless when it got to 114 a couple of days. So, yeah, I could take 100 something. That's no problem. The 14 just means that at night it goes down to 101. Like, that was horrible. We had to go up the hill just to get relief from it because I just didn't have anything to get relief. The cooler was my little water mover, thingy, air fan or water fan thingy was just, blowing hot water at me or hot humid air at me instead of dry humid air. But,
yeah, when it's 120 and it's humid, because last year was humid as hell all summer.
But if it's going to be a cool year, then that means it'll get down to the 80s at night. If it gets down to the 80s at night, I can run the house. I got thick, foot thick brick. I got that slab brick. So as long as I can get it cool, keep it cool in the insides. It's just when it gets on, like I say, to where it barely gets to the 90s at night. There's just no way to get the house cool, and it's just like living inside an oven, and it just gets worse every day for a while. That's why I was thinking get an air conditioner and just keep the bricks on the inside from ever getting that toasty. Last year I could touch my wall and it was fucking hot. Like shit, in the middle of the night I'd touch my walls and they were hot. That's shitty.
Yeah, that's one good thing about having the concrete. It's if you can cool it down, it'll stay cool for a long time.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like that's why I don't even have this stuff. People are like, how can you live like that? Because if I can get to 80 at night, I can make it 80 in here, and it won't get to over 80 until 3 in the afternoon. By the time it gets to intolerable in here, it's already nice enough outside normally, and I can start cooling it down again without too much inconvenience. Or when it costs zero, it costs nothing. It just costs what it costs to run a fan at night. Anyway, so it's good. I was trying to look earlier this year at temperature things, and I gave up on it because I figured there was really no way to, predict. But if they're saying something like that, then I'm done with the air conditioners. It'll be next year.
Well, that's what they predicted, but yeah, that doesn't mean there's not going to be 2 or 3 days of 115, 120. So.
Oh yeah, I'll take a couple of days of it. Last year it wailed on me. And I know I want to travel next year, so I plan to not even be here for this part of the shit next year. So there's no big point in paying hundreds of dollars for an air conditioner that I'm going to use once, or one season, and then it's going to sit for 2, hopefully. But I've talked myself out of it. Plus, I was already frustrated at I'm already frustrated trying to figure out which one to buy or what. There's tons of sites out there, but very, very effective sites anymore. Like every time I go to look for something nowadays, it's like, just letting you know, these are all affiliate links. So, just fair warning or whatever. And then it's just basically descriptions that you get from the manufacturers. There's like very few like people out there diligently like interested in a product and testing it and stuff. Because they, actually own it and are using it. It's just link farms, just fancier link farms.
Yeah, I hate that. I was looking for something last night, and I went to 20 different websites. They all had the same pictures and the same description. Jesus, come on.
They just need to make a giant tube. Pink is up there bragging about his 49-degree temperatures and stuff. If we had a giant tube, an air tube that goes from like crisscross, like from northeast to southwest, I don't care about Florida or Washington. So it just can go from that, like maybe let's say Ohio or something, out to New Mexico. We don't want to have their exhausts, but we'll take the benefits of New Mexico being green, right? So let's have this big tube that goes from New Mexico to Ohio underneath the Mississippi and everything, so it doesn't bother anybody, and then blow air one way or the other, right? So blow the cold air down here, change climate a little bit. When they're complaining about the cold, blow some of our heat out there. Or maybe you have 2 tubes, one going each way all the time.
There you go. We can heat them up. They can cool us off. Yeah. If Tesla can put a tube from LA to San Francisco, why can't we put a tube from Tucson to Columbus, Ohio?
Why don't we have one that comes out in New Mexico, but goes, the intake is in Ohio, and then we'll have one where the intake is in Arizona, and then it goes out in Chicago or someplace. So then that way they're sucking hot air and it's blowing it out, and then the intake up there isn't right next to the hot air. We have to separate them a little bit. So then it'll intake from Ohio and blow out in New Mexico. Then that way we don't have to smell Ohio air at all. And we can go fart in that tube every once in a while, and then Chicago has to smell our farts.
Well, they are the Windy City,
Yeah, see, it works out. And we won't even have to have a fan because the wind will just suck our hot air out of here. So all our hot air will go down that tube. It'll be comfortable here. New Mexico will get all that cool air from Ohio. That'll create a little new system. We'll create our own weather. Screw you, Al Gore. We'll use our own tubes.
But on the serious point, the ground tube air conditioner is a real thing. You can actually put a 8-inch duct 30 feet down. You kind of make it go around the ground a little bit and come back and put a fan on one side, and it pushes the air from your house through the tube. When it comes back out, it's cooler. They actually have those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's better if you dig something like as big a hole as you can dig, and then fill it with like a saline or concrete, and then do that, because then you get a giant heat sink down there. Solid rock is better than dirt or whatever. But yeah, you create how much a heat sink you can. You can run air through it. Then you got to force air through the whole thing. But if you put a pump and run like a saline or some kind of glycol, run something through that heat sink, and then run that over radiators, or run that through radiators, or run it through your floor. That's what they'll do, right? They'll just run water through that system, that floor radiant type of system. Now your floor is 72 degrees always, so that makes your room 76 degrees. No, 70 something up or down depending on the outside temperature. That'd be
Yeah, I got a floor radiator in my bathroom that goes in the ground. But I've seen the air-to-air ones, and they're kind of neat. But they mainly use those in places where you don't really need air conditioning.
Oh yeah, and then you don't have to put a fan on it even. When you have just the big holes, just the big tubes running, then the air itself gets sucked into one side and comes out the other side. You just do something like you make one hole higher than the other one or something, right? And it just naturally sucks, the one goes down and the hot air starts rising and coming up, and it creates, it's not like a breeze, but it definitely circulates your air. They do that in those like cave houses where they call them, where they put like a house up into a side of a hill or something. Your box air from Pennsylvania. We got standards. If we want cold air, we get it from Alaska. The A states stick together. So maybe screw them in their tube. Well, maybe we'll run that tube up through the water. It's probably a lot easier to run it to California through the water, which would probably help keep the tube at a good temperature, right? And then pop it up in Alaska. And then the A states can stick together. We'll get their super cold air when we want it. They can have our super hot air. These two states will become the perfect temperature year round, will become the vacation destinations for everywhere. They could start sticking their ice down in there, which gives us water out this end. Genius. Arizona, Alaska, sister states. Taking over the United States pretty soon. We'll have the best gun laws. We'll flood, I don't know, a big chunk of the boring part of Arizona, turn into a big lake. They'll have a big desert part of Alaska now. You can trade them glaciers for sand.
I vote for between Tucson and Yuma.
There you go.
Giant lake.
All them cows swimming around in it.
So Monday I took out my 6.5 Grindle build and thought I would sight it in, test it out, check it to see if it drifts when the barrel gets hot, all that stuff. And put a target out about 350, 400 meters out. And my spotter, buddy of mine, was looking through the spotting scope because of the heat coming off the ground, because it was over 100 degrees. He couldn't tell where the bullet backs were. So he's telling me, "Oh yeah, you're right in the center. You're hitting dead center." I'm like, "Sure." He goes, "Yeah, it's not low. No, it's dead center." So I put 30 rounds down range. Then we drive down to the target, and they're all clustered. I had one of those bad guy targets, they point the gun. All the rounds were at his crotch. I was like, "God, I thought you said I was hitting the chest." "Oh, I thought you were." Oh, God, I need a new spotter.
Where was that at? Just on the desert?
No, went out to Tucson Rifle Club and used 7 long, the 7 long range, the what used to be called the tactical range back there in the back.
Gotcha.
Used the long part of it. I think that's 350, 400 meters, something like that.
Yeah. I haven't been up there in forever.
Yeah, so him and my wife, both of them had spotting scopes. Both of them said I was hitting the center of that target. And there wasn't a single bullet hole anywhere in the middle of that fucking target. I think both of them were seeing, Jesus, that was hard. I think both of them were seeing the round go through the air, the wake off the round, and it was headed towards the middle, so they said I was hitting the middle. But the round's going in an arc, so it's dropping when it gets there. It patterned well. It had about 30 rounds in about a 4-inch circle, so it wasn't bad. I was shooting off a bag, so pretty good. But boy, that was a lot of money to waste throwing down range to have a target that looks like I screwed up.
Or that you're just like an angry feminist.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. They were actually below his crotch, so I didn't even hit the dude himself. I just made a softball size hole in the target below his crotch.
That's just training to be like RoboCop, because that's kind of shit he'd pull if it was somebody raping. He would just next time and coming with me.
Yeah, I meant to do that. See, making the most out of the target. Now I got the whole rest of the target to shoot later. Did do something pretty cool. He had we have a CAD cutting machine at work, so he took like 1,000 pieces of cardboard and cut silhouettes out of them. Like the action shooters use. But then he painted them all white, and we took them out there and put them behind the bushes on the hill. The little bushes are growing off the back hill. So they were kind of peeking out of the bushes in different areas, and we were trying to go move from target to target and just do headshots. That was kind of fun.
Do you ever come up here and go up Reddington?
Rarely. I think I've only shot up there maybe twice in 10 years.
Can you still go to that? Is it Red Rocks, or is that where you were talking about to do that?
Oh, I go out to the canyon on the other side of Oracle to go do fun stuff.
On the other side of Oracle.
Yeah, between Oracle and Mammoth, when you're on the road going to Mammoth, there's a little mining road that goes off the left-hand side about halfway there. You go back up over the hill and drop down into a little canyon area. It's the old highway to Mammoth. You go up through it, and there's a shooting area we made out there with a flat spot. We got about 1,000-yard target placement out there, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd take you forever to go out there, though.
Yeah, you have to make a whole day of it.
So, what about where that hang gliding? No, that ultralight airport or that like little weird airport out by you, north of you?
Oh yeah, Ryan's Field.
Is that what it's called? No, the little one. That's tiny.
Oh, the little teeny one. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you go west from there, now it's supposed to be like a heroin corridor and it's dangerous or something. But back in the day, that's where if you wanted to shoot like what you're saying, just put out a mess of targets and have basically either a desert or that hill all to yourself. Just go out there, and as long as nobody else was shooting, you could have the whole chunk of desert to yourself.
Oh yeah, we used to go out there. If you went down mile wide and went out there on the other side of we used to go out there. You go over that old wooden bridge and just start setting up targets all over the freaking place. Yeah, we used to do that.
So that's way closer, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You don't go there anymore? Can you go there anymore?
Yeah, there's so many people out there now. I mean, I'll go out there on like a Monday midday, and there will be like 10 people out there on side by sides.
So in other words, just everybody uses it now.
Yeah, and they don't use it for shooting anymore. It's a lot of recreational stuff, which is fine. But the problem is they're always out there, even on weekdays. So you can't lay a target out there by the base of the hill and then drive way back because someone's going to be in between you and your target.
Oh, what are they doing out there?
They're like out there driving side by sides and ATVs and shit like that.
Oh, okay. That's stupid. Go do that up north.
Yeah.
With the hills.
Yeah, why the hell would you want to run through flat desert? Oh, this is exciting.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, this is neat. I can't see what's in front of me because there's trees and shit, but, I'm bothering other people.
Yeah, I got a place right. If I want to just do some quick shooting or something like that, I've got the hills right across the street from the house. I run over there, I get in my Polaris and go up to the top of them, and I've got a couple permanent steel targets down on one of the cliffs so that I can just shoot across and sight-in guns and shit like that just for fun, just because I'm bored. Yeah, there's a couple areas out there. If you go look at, there's some. I take out T-posts and I got some second cut AR-500 steel, just like bits and pieces, weird shapes and stuff. And I hang them from T-posts. So I'll go out there and drive two T-posts in the ground, kind of up on a hillside somewhere, and I'll hang the targets up there. And people haven't touched them yet; they're still up there. I know the ones up there in Oracle, they got someone shot the chains off of one of the targets and dropped it, still laying on the ground. And then Another one, somebody got up close to it with something like a 30-06 or something and shot holes in it. So they probably got peppered with copper for doing that one. But some people are just destructive.
A lot of times, you put up game cameras for tracking critters and stuff. You put those things up at places like that, and you gather all the footage of all the miscreants and lowlifes and abusers, and it turns out the one thing that they have in common isn't hard drugs or abuse or like domestic problems or chronic pain or anything. It's the 9mm. They shoot 9mm.
I did find a lot of wussy shells up there. I mean, 9mm up there. Very possible.
Boom. I'm exporting, or what am I doing? I am rendering episode 2 of the museum show. I had a sweatshirt on. Holy moly. You follow that link right there, then that takes you to a place called Gunchannels. Gunchannels is a community. A bunch of people create, and then you find that. You click on that link, and then you can join this chat, which is on a platform. It's useful. It's a tool. But like a lot of tools, it's a bunch of dick. They hate our rights and they hate our property, but we use them like a tool. And then we hang out on Gunchannels, and that's where we create community. And kind of friendships, collaborations, and partnerships that allow us to have a stronger voice to combat the fucking programmed agenda-based shit that normally gets spewed out by the 3-digit networks and the smart media outlets that are owned by like a dozen people on the whole planet. Let's change that up. Let's have information and conversation owned by everybody who can afford to be on the internet. He can speak English and hangs out on Gunchannels. But other than that, it's for everybody. Really expensive. And I'm pretty sure this is just all this time it's been figuring out how long it's going to take to render this hour-long show. And in 9 seconds, it's going to tell me how long it's actually going to take to render this hour-long show. See Gary over there? Welcome. Gary is in the state of denial. That's the state that he's in. State of denial virus.
I heard they have a nice river.
Let's see. Do you want to replace that file? Yes. So now we'll find out how long it'll actually take. 30 minutes? No, probably not. It'll usually accumulate more. 44? Oh, that jumped pretty quick. 50? 57? 1 hour. That's not good. One hour and 8 minutes. Looks like I'm going to go figure out something to do. And the store's down, which is crippling me financially. Free Cash Friday and whatnot. And I can't get the store to work. I can only assume hundreds of people are interested in buying products, so they can't because the store's broken.
Yep, thousands and thousands of dollars right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it won't let me log in to add anything. Oh, wait, let's go through some. Went with us, Kingpin. Probably because the 9mm stuff. Some people can't handle the truth. The 9mm truth. Some people, like Gary, guys are in denial. Denial virus. The 9mm. But it looks like I can add stuff, so I'm going to go back to trying to make a living. I want trinkets. Passers-by. Yeah.
I guess there's a purpose for 9mm. I mean, a lot of people have flies, you know. Babies need something to learn with.
Yeah, exactly. People that are born with like very long, slender fingers, they're too delicate to, do other jobs. Normally, they just have to sit and watch TV all day. But now they're useful because their tiny little fingers can grab those little tiny cartridges, do all the miniature gunsmithing. It's not ever done. Reloading that's necessary.
Yeah, it's like model building. It's almost like a real gun.
Adam is saying a coworker ended up with West Nile, and he shoots 9mm. So seems like that more evidence.
Howdy doody. How's everybody doing?
Fred Midland, how about yourself?
Howdy.
I don't think you can hear anybody else.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Why is everybody having issues with the gun channels? I went right on and I just got on. It's working 100%.
Nobody's having troubles. What are you talking about?
I don't know. I thought people were talking a couple hours earlier that there was issues with it. There's no issues with it.
No. Crazy talk.
I know, right?
A lot of times when people shoot 9mm, they'll get, it's not loaded with gunpowder, at least not normal gunpowder. It's really heavily leaded gunpowder that doesn't pass any safety measures anywhere. So they'll get lightheaded from shooting that stuff. It's
Well,
like
the 9mm,
like a weird hallucinogen. It's like an angry hallucinogen.
once they touch the 9mm, they get lightheaded. So I understand. Hey, Gary.
Hey, what are you guys yapping about?
I don't know. I just got home, so I just hopped on.
Yeah.
So what's the West Nile anyway? Is that like a fever, or is that like a fatal thing?
It can be, but usually not. But it's spread by mosquitoes and ticks, generally mosquitoes. And it's been so wet here this spring that there's pretty high mosquito population. So they're warning everybody to spray repellent on, wear long sleeve shirts when you can if you're working outside. In fact, at times they're telling people not to even go out and mow, but mine was just about the height of the mower tire, so I thought maybe I better go out and mow it. So.
Dude, they'd have to take me to court and then prove to me that I was like unusually scared in West Nile. If there was like a West Nile scare, I wouldn't ever cut my grass. I'd be like, nope, scared of West Nile. Nope, scared of West Nile.
Yep, you guys come cut it.
Perfect excuse. Trying to kill me? I ain't cutting this grass. I'm gonna die.
Exactly.
Get the CDC down here. Them cut it.
Yeah, I have to give my horses West Nile virus um, stuff every year.
Do they make West Nile condoms where you could just put on like one big rubber coat to cover everything?
God.
I'm just saying.
Well, not that I know of, but hey, you know,
Talk about sweating up a storm wearing that thing, right?
I guess.
Be like the ones at Naked Gun.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna see it on Amazon tomorrow, being sold. West Nile virus protection, the human condom. Yeah, exactly. The West Nile virus, the people get tired very quickly. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I must have that all the time.
And the weakness lasts for weeks and sometimes months, depending on how bad it is.
Yep, same here.
Yeah, that was Pink Panther that was saying that in the chat.
Turns out I'm not lazy. I'm just in denial. I mean, West. Yeah, that's
I'm not lazy. I have
Nile. West Nile. Yeah, that's it.
I'm not lazy. I have West Nile virus. Damn it. Do that at the DMV and see how quickly you get through the line. So what's everybody's plans for the weekend? Anything exciting?
Not really.
Yes, I got something exciting, I guess. I finally got my motor back from the machine shop. I get to put it back together. Yay!
You talking about for your bike or your vehicle?
No, my drag car.
Okay.
Yeah. I get to spend another several $1,000s putting the thing back together.
How long does it take to put that thing back in?
It doesn't take long, but the problem is I got the crank bearing, the main bearings in, the rear main seal, the harmonic balancer, the front seal, the timing gears, the cam. I got basically everything except for rod bearings. My rod bearings didn't show up, so it's going to be kind of hard to put the motor back together.
So figure another 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Oh, they should be here. They'll probably get here tomorrow, and I'll have the bottom end finished in a couple hours, and then it's just stabbing it back in after that.
Hopefully next weekend you can take it out for a spin.
No, because I still don't have the money to do the transmission right now. So, because I had a large catastrophic failure, so transmission has to be completely rebuilt, and I need a. That's not the problem. It's the torque converter's the problem. I don't have $800 to throw out for a new torque converter.
Ouch.
and I've got to reload some 6.5 Grindle.
Well, that's always exciting.
Yeah. Well, they got that reloading show Sunday, so I figured I might do it during that.
Saturday, not Sunday.
Oh, it's a Saturday. I thought it was Sunday.
It was originally going to be Sunday, and then Honda does his conspiracy chat, so they changed the reloading to Saturday.
Oh, so I guess I won't.
I don't know what the conspiracy is, why Honda won't do his show on Saturday, why for some reason he has to put a show on that trumps the reloading chat. But I would let that horse know. I would imagine he'd rather have more reloaders than show up. So I imagine he'd rather have it on whatever day more reloaders show up. That's
Yeah,
his
Saturday.
goal, ultimate reloader chat.
Yeah, Saturday not good for me.
Oh yeah, I got this, West Nile. I have all these things. Headache, body aches, joint pains, vomiting, diarrhea, rash. Who doesn't have all that stuff?
Yeah, it describes me every day.
It's just being old or whatever.
Does it list hemorrhoids? No.
No. That's from a different virus.
Hey, G, did you get a floor standing air conditioner?
No, I was gonna, but now I'm not gonna. I was just contemplating going from sweltering to hot, but I can handle hot, so it's only going to be hot. I can deal with it.
I found a floor air conditioner. It was a floor model, so it's a little beaten up. But since I'm in the basement, I was able to just use the one window that's in the basement and use a dryer duct to connect it to it, and it's about 20 feet above that. It stretches to where the window space is from the basement to the first floor. But it actually works pretty good. I saved like $150 off of it because it was a floor model.
Never thought about using a dryer duct. That's a pretty good idea, especially if you have one that has the little baffles on it.
Yeah, the dryer duct. All I had to do was take a piece of 4x8, 2-inch thick board. I made a hole in it. I put the dryer duct in there, and I put it in the window space. It works perfectly.
That's pretty ingenious.
I have brain farts every now and then.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do that because the one in my garage, the birds get into that freaking ductwork when it's not running, and then they tear holes in it and stuff.
Why couldn't you screen it out on both ends?
Well, it has a plastic screen on one end, but it's Arizona. It's plastic. As soon as the sun hits it, it just blows apart, And it's been in there for like 2 years. So I think I'm going to get one of those dryer ducts with the flappy doors on it. Put that on there. That'll keep them out of there.
And you could put a little wire mesh screen on top of that.
Yo ho.
That also let me not run it to the window. I'll just put it in the wall.
Yeah. I mean, if you have access from the wall to the exterior, that's fine.
Yeah, it's a garage, so all four walls are kind of outside.
What are you doing with your duct?
Putting them in a row.
What's up, Bondo? What's up, Don?
I missed something. What are you doing? Why do you have a duct in your window?
Talking about how to
Mobile air conditioner.
Yeah, floor air conditioner.
Oh. All right. That's
Where
cool.
you don't have like a regular window access.
Right, and you can have the air conditioning unit further away from the window. I got it. Makes sense. How y'all doing today?
Not bad.
Pretty good. Working.
Errands.
I just woke up and I checked the mail and I got my new 1911 holster. Check it out.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, the problem is it fits fucking tight. I gotta stretch it out.
You can speed up that process by jamming it in there and then shooting off around while it's in the holster. It'll loosen right up.
Hondo, do you have any open-offs?
Any what?
Open-offs?
I feel like this is a trick question. No, I don't think
people use to like soften and keep leather nice and supple. Open-offs.
Oh, that's like a chemical. No, I don't have that.
Well,
Do you have any under there?
It's more like a natural chemical. It's not a natural chemical. And you could run it on the inside of the holster, put your gun in a plastic, and let it sit in there and help the leather stretch around the gun a little more.
Yeah, I mean it's already loosened up a little bit. It was like when I got it last night. I got home and I found that I had mail, and putting it in the holster, and I put it on my belt, and I went outside and I tried to draw it, and I couldn't even get it out of the holster. But
Does it have any under there?
Yes.
Does what?
I don't know. I was thinking about like wrapping it in saran wrap just so it's a little bit thicker, and then stuffing it in there, and then just leaving it for the rest of the day, and then coming back and seeing how it is.
That's kind of what I do. Is I put mine in a bag and then wrap it up in tinfoil or another bag, or just get a little thicker. Stick the gun in there and then put it in the sun. Just let it sit in the sun and by a window or well, not in the window, but and just let it get warm and it'll loosen up pretty easy.
I like it.
At least you know you have retention now.
Now all I need to do is get the fucking front side off. God damn it.
But shooting it definitely will loosen up the end of it. That's for damn sure.
Are you still on the front sight?
Yeah, well, I've been super busy with work and crap the last couple of days, so it's not like I've had like a ton of time to throw at it. But yeah like the I don't want to talk about it.
Did you get a normal hex key?
Yep.
Did you try the crazy glue method?
Yep.
Nothing, huh?
Yep. Now I've got the tip of a black hex key glued into the fucking front sight. Yeah, dude, it's fucked.
I'm wondering if the people that put yours together used red Loctite instead of just the blue.
I don't know, man. I mean, I hit it with propane. I heated it up. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna drill it out. Like I said, I don't want to talk about it. Other subject. I like this holster though. It's $17.91.
It's very nice.
Yep.
I love the red and the black combination.
Yeah, and then I should be getting my grips either today or tomorrow, and then I gotta put a little bit of work into those, painting and doing some stuff to the recess areas in the grip, and then I'm gonna replace those, and it'll actually look really good, I think.
Very cool.
As long as I don't strip the screws trying to get the freaking grips off, too.
Maybe you should give it to somebody else.
No, that was a joke. That was a joke.
Just in case, just to be safe.
Well, that gun should have grip screw bushing, so if you do strip it, you can replace the bushing. So you're okay.
Yep. Anyone doing anything fun and exciting today for Flag Day? Womp womp.
I have 2 flags to drop off to get disposed of. That's about it.
Did you let them touch the ground? What did you do?
No, they're neighbors' flags. I bought them new flags and took their old ones. I'm going to take them down to the base and have them disposed of. Or have them. Yeah, I don't know how to say it. They're going to burn them, but.
Like, I get why, you don't want your flag touching the ground. Like, if you have an American flag and you're showing it and, like, you let it touch the ground, like, that's really bad, right? But why do you have to burn the flag if, you know what I mean? Like, that seems worse.
Well, no, if it's like totally destroyed and it can't be repaired or anything, then it's like a burial.
I guess, yeah.
It's a symbol of something. You don't just let it toss it in the trash like that.
Well, I'm okay. I get it. I get that part. I'm just saying, like if you let your flag touch the ground, now you have to burn it. Like,
No, you don't.
you know what I mean?
You don't have to burn it. You just don't let the flag.
There's nowhere it says that. It's to be destroyed with honor when it's tattered or torn or ripped or broken. But when it touches the ground, it's a disgrace. You don't have to cut yourself or do lashes. You fucking hopefully take a moment to think about whatever the fuck happened that you fucking neglected that allowed it to happen, and to fucking resolve to not let it happen again as your own individual show of appreciation for all. But there's no fucking rule that says just because a flag gets whatever. There's no laws anywhere. There's just a code of conduct that one chooses to, oblige, but there's no laws or anything. We don't live in fascism.
I just seem to remember something in Boy Scouts back in the day where, like, when we were folding the flags up, they're like, if you let it touch the ground, then we have to burn it. Ugh. Maybe that was just the Scoutmaster.
For melodramatic with that.
Yeah.
But you teach the flag is a symbol of something very important. You got to teach the kids that.
Oh, wait. I'm not disagreeing, and I understand. I'm just saying.
How they go
I guess I didn't know.
After the lesson is up to them, obviously. But, it's a sign of respect, a symbol of pride of this country was built on.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Tony.
Hey.
Hey, Tony, how you doing?
I'm not
Tony,
dead.
Tony, speak up.
I said I'm not dead. And yes, if it touches the ground, you're supposed to destroy that flag.
Where's that in the flag code?
I don't know. It was in what they told us when we started.
Are you trying to piss G off?
No.
I think that was part of flag etiquette, but not flag code, because it's not in the code. But I heard the same thing when I was in the Boy Scouts and stuff, but,
Yeah. The flag code states that when such condition is no longer fitting emblem for display, that should be destroyed in a dignified way, preferably by burning. That's so that it's destroyed and you don't have tattered ass flags going around being, appreciated as what, being tattered or whatever. No, that touches the ground thing is complete. Whatever Snopes or myth or whatever.
That's nonsense.
It's a faux pas, but it's not written anywhere. We don't live in fascism. It would be disruptive to everything if you every time a flag touched the ground you had to stop and burn it. It's ridiculous.
Do you think that's a conspiracy by the flag makers to sell more flags?
I think it's the happenstance of having a bunch of kids who do flag ceremonies, and the flag code does say that you burn a flag when it's tattered, and just conflation and tell a friend, tell a thing, whatever.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like the ones I have. You can burn them yourself, but down here, the color guard at the National Guard, their color guard, and the Air Force Base, they'll take your flags. They even have little cardboard flag boxes. You fold the flag up in and put them in the box.
Now, how does that work? Do you just like call the base or whatever and say, "Hey, Joe Schmo here. I need a flag pickup at this address," or do you like?
No,
They got a box.
You have to go
and on today, they'll probably be having flag ceremonies at a bunch of VFW halls, and a bunch of scouts will ceremoniously create a fire in a 55-gallon drum, and they'll do the appropriate respect, and they'll retire those flags.
Yeah, you can literally go down like the National Guard there, the gate at the front of the base with the little guard check. You can literally park over the side, walk over with your flag. They have a box there. You put it in the box. They fold it up, and they take care of it.
That's pretty cool.
Probably police stations, fire departments. I wouldn't be surprised if they all understand what to do with it. They'll have a place, and if they don't have a box, they'll take it, accept it, and take it to a BFW next time they're around there or something. I'm guessing that stuff ain't taught in schools. I don't remember if it was for us.
Where's the dead horse at? He starts these chats and then he like goes off and does things. It's funny. We're live on air and I've got to go to the store. Continue.
Because he runs it for 8 hours. He does a 2-hour show and then runs it for another 8 hours.
Right.
But already today, we've saved Gary from West Nile. We've solved your front site crisis. We've helped Russ. I don't know what we've done for John yet, but we're about to do it. And Tony's still living, so
as just being around is more than enough for me.
And we saved G $250.
Hashtag no homo.
yeah, you saved me buying the damn thing on credit card. So right on. One less robot, one less credit card.
What were you gonna buy?
One of them R2D2 looking air conditioners with a tube coming out of it.
That would be so cool if they had an R2D2 floor air conditioner.
Have a little LED that sprays into the mist that it kicks out.
Yeah, why not? That'd be cool.
There's a R2D2 mini fridge. Ooh, an R2D2 suitcase. This mini fridge is pretty cool looking though. Here.
Mini fridge better be on tank tracks and deliver my beer to me.
There's no tracks.
It's an R2D2.
But it's cool.
Does it have jets to help them fly?
Oh, that's the biggest ripoff ever. That's just a trash can somebody put a R2D2 wrap on and charges $150.
Jesus.
Look at that. It looks just like a trash can, doesn't it?
Damn, time to fire up the printer. I'll make one of those.
I would have thought that was a trash can.
The sorry part is they probably sell them.
Oh yeah, exactly. This looks like one of them cans you buy, or you see at like a convenience store, gas station that's like half full of ice and has some cans of whatever energy drink or something in it. They just put a dome on the top and they painted it like R2D2.
So it's not an actual door; it's just the top that comes off.
I don't know. It's not a picture of it.
Watch, it's like the actual size. Like you could barely fit one can of beer.
It's like a cozy, except it's like you put it in the freezer first.
Right. Yeah.
It's made for one of those champagne bottles that are like a person, the size of a person.
$150 to cool your single beer, one at a time.
Have it work kind of like a toaster in reverse, where when the beer gets cold enough, it just pops it out the top.
Oh, like it knows when it's ready.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know what would be cool? You know how they have those like autonomous robot vacuum cleaners that you can just like put out and it just goes around and gets every square inch of your carpet? They should have one that looks like R2D2 and does that. That would be cool.
Yeah, buy that garbage can on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little double-sided tape, and there you go. My daughter's got one, but I've never seen the son bitch do nothing.
Yeah, well, the problem with those is like you have to have everything picked up to begin with. Otherwise, it'll, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if you keep your house like really clean all the time and you don't like vacuuming, that's great. But if you're like messy, it's not going to help you.
Need like a robot to constantly vacuum, or the kind of people that don't leave anything around ever, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I can tell you
Oh,
something.
it's dirty in here.
If your
Feel the
elderly
dirt.
grandmother, if your elderly mother has a little dog that poops in the house every once in a while, make sure she doesn't have one of those, because it will spread it all over the kitchen.
There's just like brown streaks everywhere. You can see it's it's grit pattern like everywhere it went.
Dude, she called me and said, "I need you to come over and mop the floor." I said, "What's going on?" She said, "The dog had an accident." I said, "Oh, okay. Did you pick it up?" "I can't. The Roomba got a hold of it." I'm like, "Oh no." Yeah, it was a mess.
That's awful. That's funny, but that's awful.
That's one way of recoloring your carpet.
Luckily, it didn't get up on the carpet, but it streaked the hell out of the kitchen floor.
That's funny, dude.
And that's why you have a wet dry vac too.
That's why I call that dog Sits a Lot of Poo.
Sir Poo a lot.
Yeah, it's a Shih Tzu and a Poodle mix. Thanks, sir. Already in there? Appreciate it.
I don't know why, but I'm looking at mini refrigerators, and there's some cool ones. Fucking R2D2 sent me down a rabbit hole.
I bought one a couple years ago for my shop from Home Depot, and it was like it was $260, and it's a apartment size refrigerator. That thing sucked. I couldn't get it anywhere near freezing in it, like down, you want it like just above 32 degrees. It would, if the shop stays at 86 during the summer, that fridge was maybe 50 inside. It was horrible. I took it back, went and got a used one from the Haba store, and that thing you can keep ice cream in that sucker. That thing's awesome.
Oh, here's a R2D2 humidifier mister for $30. That's pretty cool.
I don't know how much that's going to do for $32.
Well, I mean, the normal ones are like 25. You're just paying a little extra for the aesthetics, I guess.
I just think autonomous squirt gun.
Yeah, super soaker and a roller skate.
Oh, wow. Check this out. Someone built this in their garage out of cardboard and duct tape.
Are you going to screen share it?
Side chat. I can't. Dude, so there's something wrong with my Google Hangouts. It won't let me screen share. I got to figure that out, too.
Yeah, because Google's going to that meeting stuff, everybody's been having problems with it.
I'm guessing they're really going to it since everybody's have been experiencing issues such as like super slow and other issues with the Google Hangouts.
Aren't they going to charge like $20 a month for that too? If you want to do like chats or whatever, you need to download it and pay $20 a month to use it.
Something like that, and you're going to have a certain amount of keys to give out to people to be in there with you. I don't know.
Wow. Means I'm going to have to pay $5 a show for the gay frog chat.
Maybe I try to read into it, but I got bored of it.
Well, instead of
It sounds
charging
like
you by how many people watch, because that's prohibitive to growth, they're going to charge by how bad you suck. So yeah, if your chat sucks, then you're going to pay, and then if your chat sucks really bad, you're going to pay out the nose.
Just have to move to that other one that GunTube uses. Or Gun.
Don't make a porn channel and you won't suck.
You guys making fun of my chat? What the fuck?
No, we're just saying if it sucks too much, they'll charge you an arm and a leg, so don't make a porno channel. Oh, this chocolate is really good. Wow.
What's the name of that one that we were using to stream the movies with?
Well, that was GunTube. That was GunTube. He built that off of pieces. Like, he went and found pieces out of an erector set and built that.
I know it was on GunTube, but I don't remember the name of that particular program we were using.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it is a standalone thing. Night Strike was using multiple things to hobble them together to create that ability of that system. Yeah, there's pictures on that link you sent here with all kinds of people turn those air conditioners into R2D2s.
Oh, you guys are on the computer. I'm on my phone. All right.
Yeah, that one's like the size of the garage door, man. He built like a giant R2D2.
Yeah, but I'm saying on that page, there's like the air conditioner thing I was going to buy. People like just paint those to look like R2D2.
Oh, yeah.
Halfway decent, just painting them.
I wonder if there's a company out there that sells stencils that you could pretty much create any shape of material you want and then just use a stencil to paint whatever character on it.
What was the name of the robot from Roy Rogers?
Roy Rogers, you mean?
Lost in Space?
Rogers.
Yeah, Lost in Space.
Buck Rogers. Yeah. Twiggy. Twiggy.
Yeah, that's sort of what mine looks like.
Rick!
Hey!
What's up, Rick?
It is the Class M3 Model B9 General Non-Theorizing Environmental Control Robot, simply known as the Robot.
What?
That's what it said.
Twiggy.
That's what Google says, man.
No, they called him Twiggy. Swinging around going, drink,
Twiggy was Flash Gordon.
No, he wasn't. Buck Rogers.
Yeah,
And then he had that general
That's it,
knowledge
Buck Rogers.
professor guy. He had this professor guy on his chest. This little colored plate was a professor robot.
That's
That's
right.
two different plots right there. You got an AC that looks like this, Russ?
Yeah, my mobile cooler sort of looks like that.
That looks like the girl from Spaceballs.
Well, that's what they making fun of, everything in that
Oh,
movie.
okay.
Making fun of some other thing that's good. So, let's see. Here's Twiggy and a female robot getting it on.
I love that show.
Hold the phone. Nothing. Hold the phone. Nothing for me then.
That was
Where are you going? Don't ask.
See, that's the
Don't
kind of
ask.
stuff. You don't even know what kind of stuff we got taught. We saw real glimpses into the future.
I was thinking of the wrong one. I'm thinking about the one from, is it Lost in Space with the Chomo that's always after the little kid?
You're talking about Danger Will Robinson? You're
Yeah.
talking about Danger Will Robinson?
Didn't they have a big square robot in that one?
Yeah, that one is named Robot, I think. You're right on that.
Okay.
That's Lost in Space, though.
Yeah, I remember it was a movie with the Chomo guy,
I don't know who that is.
the doctor or whatever he was. He was always after that little boy.
Dude, the new Lost in Space on Netflix or whatever, that the robot there is like scary looking.
Yeah, that's a totally different robot. I don't know what they came up with there.
I mean, he looks like a Terminator with like a universe in his eye. It's like, yeah, you might turn evil. I don't know. You're already halfway there. You got like armor and stuff, and
probably not a good idea to piss this robot off.
yeah, I mean, he looks like the Predator with like a robot head.
I feel you got an obligation as a human to our species to piss pretty much any robot off, because that will let the robot slip. And if there is some kind of robot, war about to happen, anytime we can piss one of them off and get them off their guard and let us know, get prior notice, we're ahead as a species, right?
I don't know, but it would be a scary day if robots had emotions, or like computers or whatever, you know.
Well, just make sure you leave your last will and testament and let us know if you're going to be the one to piss the robot off.
Biggie.
Well, robots come a long way. When I was a kid, my oldest brother had one of those butler robots. That thing, the only thing he could do was run over the cat's tail. That was it. Stupid.
Maybe that's all he needed to do.
It was good at it.
I bet the cat learned its lesson.
No, the cat was pretty damn dumb. The cat we had been hit by a car because he used to walk out in the street and like dare cars to go by it, and it got hit by a truck. So it was blind in one eye, and its jaw wired shut. It was deaf in one ear.
Jesus Christ!
It was a ridiculous cat.
Huh, I've never seen the movie Robots 2005, Ewan McGregor, Robin Williams, Mel Brooks.
Why would anybody want to watch that movie? Robin Williams and Mel Brooks in the same movie?
It might have potential. I don't know. Although it's number 15 of the top 15 robot movies, so that might.
Oh, is that the one where Robin Williams is the servant robot?
I have no idea. I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's very boring, kind of sad. Well, a lot of sad. I remember seeing it when I was a kid.
You were a kid in 2005?
Well,
I think you're thinking
was
of a
it
different.
2005?
Yeah.
Jesus, maybe I felt like a kid.
No, you're thinking of a different one where he was like an android or robot or something. And
Yeah, he was a household android servant. Yeah.
Or else that review's wrong because I thought that was more like the middle of the 90s or something weird. Or back then at least.
Yeah, I thought it was before Mrs. Doubtfire and all that shit.
Yeah.
Well, the internet says 2005, so.
Well, I am old.
I guess I just felt like a kid.
Ever feel like you need to like sleep more? Because I'm having that feeling right now.
Every day.
I don't like sleeping.
I don't either. That's the problem. Like, I don't know. I love sleeping, but I don't like wasting time sleeping, if that makes sense.
I only sleep when I have to, and then sleep for as little as possible. Get back to it.
I was sad to find, though, yesterday that one of my favorite bosses at work quit. Made me super, super sad yesterday. Like the coolest dude who, always wanted to listen and help you with the problem or whatever. Got accused of being not a team player with the other managers, which I completely disagree with. And then he was just like, "You don't think I'm a team player? Fine, I quit." Like, fuck you.
Not a team player means did not kiss enough ass.
Yeah,
you don't
exactly.
think I'm a team player? Then I'm quitting the team. Like, there you go. You just affirmed that you're not a team player. Done.
Well, I think it was more of like a lack of recognition for the things that he had done. And if you bust your ass doing a bunch of stuff for everybody, and then your boss comes to you and says, "Oh, you're not doing enough," and like, well,